We're going to take a look at this Tractor Basics 5-foot tiller. As usual, we start with the packaging. It's always superb from skidsteersolutions.com. In this case, I think they may have even outdone themselves. Let's take a look. Our cats couldn't destroy this packaging. They tried. You might see some little claw marks there, but they were unsuccessful on this one. No chance at all. Now, when I say that they outdid themselves, usually we have some, some framing of some sort. In this case, it's all steel. Angle steel. That is heavy duty packaging. Use code TTWT at tractorbasics.com to save 10%.
If you like our content, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.
If you followed us for a while, you know that I'm a tiller snob. Yeah, I admit it. I have several features that I really want to see in a tiller. Now, I must admit that my snobbishness about tillers may not make a whole lot of sense, so I'll talk about that just a brief minute. There are two lines of tillers within Tractor Basics. There is an entry-level 48-inch tiller, which has 4 tines per flange and is chain drive. And those two specifications typically don't meet my snobbish requirements. However, I just am not sure that my requirements are justified in this case. In fact, in any case. We always mention tiller rule number 1. And what we have found is that almost no one is dissatisfied with their tiller. Everyone seems to really like their tiller, no matter what brand it is, no matter what specifications it has. I have, in the ensuing years, since introducing tiller rule number 1, heard of 3 or 4 people that have not been satisfied with their tillers. And in each case, it was with the ultra cheap Chinese brands that really did try to skimp on everything. And so what I've been looking for is a brand that doesn't skimp, but is still cost effective, just a little bit better than some of the stuff that you can get in the box store. And that's what we found here in Tractor Basics. The entry line still has all the features that you likely need. It's a little bit lighter, built a little bit lighter, but this higher end line meets my snobbish requirements. Quick hitch compatible, slip clutch, 6 tines per flange, gear drive. Yep. This has got it all. In fact, it's even got an extra feature. If you're not needing a quick hitch, you can offset this tiller left or right if your tractor's too wide for it, right? So that's even an additional feature. This one came with the bushings for the quick hitch. So it's ready to go with perhaps one exception. We may have to cut the PTO shaft. Let's check that out. Yeah, a little difficult to get out of the pallet.
Yeah, but that worked. You need 2 people though.
Yep, need an extra set of hands, and what we did worked just fine. I don't know how I'd done it without you, like everything else.
I like that it was protected though, so I'd rather have this than easy to get off.
Yep. It's got oil in it, and I like that you can check it here with a dipstick. This one's got a dipstick on it. You don't have to remove another plug and let it run out the side and get all greasy down there. This one, of course, doesn't have a dipstick. Very nice feature here, it's got a sight glass to be able to see the oil level over here. I don't believe I've ever seen that in a tiller. I'm gonna have to cut a couple inches off this PTO shaft. We've got a video on Tractor Time with Tim showing how to do that, so we'll not show that detail here. Let me just say it's easy. You just have to do a little bit of calculation, and then you can cut it with cheap and easy equipment. Now we can get this slip clutch and PTO shaft attached in here without removing this shield, but I think it'll be a lot easier to go ahead and remove it. And it'll also be a lot easier for me to show you what we're doing. So I'd recommend removing the shield. It's 3 bolts, easy access. They're 13 millimeter. We'll get to that now. Now we can just remove this shield right here. It's throwaway, we don't need it. No tools required for that, just a good hard pull. Now when we slide the PTO shaft on, we're gonna then insert this bolt through, and you see that slot right there? That's what locks the PTO shaft onto this end, is this bolt holds it in there and won't allow it to go further on or off. So that's what we're gonna do now. So it doesn't really matter what angle we put the PTO shaft on, it should be symmetrical. There should be, I think, 6 different ways it can go on. If you have trouble getting it on in one orientation, just rotate it to the next one and try that. That should work fine. Now, when we get it back far enough, we should be able to slide that bolt right in there. Get the lock washer and nut right there. Doesn't need to be incredibly tight, but it does need to flatten that lock washer so that it doesn't try to vibrate loose. Now, if you have trouble accessing that grease fitting in the future, remember you can take the shield off relatively easily. Now that I have the shield off, I can see that there are slots here, which means we can start the 2 side bolts without the shield being in place. We don't have to take those bolts all the way out. And then we can slide the shield in right through those slots and set it down there, and then we can put the top bolt in. That's easy, nice. While we're here, we'll hook up our safety shield. It will eventually wrap around like this anyway, but we'll just hook it right into this slot. Hole made for it right there. And that end is good to go. There's only one way to put these 2 shafts together. 2 of these humps are rounded, and one of them is a little bit squared at the top. So I have to find which one's which. The squared one in this case is on this side, so it should go together this way. Now there's a reason for that, and that is to keep these 2 U-joints perfectly lined up. And if you went with any of the other 2 angles, they would not be lined up properly. It feels a little bit rough, doesn't it? Right on the outside. Yeah, squirt it like flat, like that. Now squirt. 1 squirt, please. Okay. The square side was on this side. It's better. There's one more grease fitting on this tiller, and it's right here. Now be careful with this one. This is a fully sealed area, and you don't want to pump so much grease in there that you blow the seals out. So it probably didn't need any. I'm going to put a few squirts in just to make myself feel good, I guess. But you don't need to grease that every time you grease the tiller. The other 2 U-joints. This one's all sealed up. I'm always nervous about putting so much in that I blow those seals. But a few squirts occasionally is fine. This hook is meant to hold your PTO while it's parked, but you'll have to unhook that before you back your tractor in. And then it's got a storage hook right over here. It's a little tight, but that goes right there. So we'll lay this down off to the side just a little bit, and then we'll back in. Notice I didn't back all the way in. That'll give me a little more room to maneuver in here. One of the big tricks on a tractor that has a mid PTO is to make sure you have the PTO selection in mid only. That allows you to turn the shaft freely in the back. If you don't have a mid PTO option, well, I guess I should say that's the best reason to get one, even without a mid mount mower. I mean it. It's worth it. To be able to rotate this shaft makes all the difference in connecting. First, you get the splines aligned. You don't have to worry about pushing that button in until you get the splines aligned, and you get on there about 3/4 of an inch. And then you need to push the button in. Notice I've got this hydraulic thing right in my face. There it goes. Safety chain can tie anywhere as long as it keeps the shield from rotating. I usually just go around the lift arm and tie it back into itself. Not sure my cat approves, but so what? Raise up the parking stand and we're ready to go. There you have it. That's the unboxing and attaching of this Tractor Basics heavier duty tiller. The one for the tiller snobs. The other one is a little less expensive, and I think it'll do you fine as well. I know times are hard. Either one of these is going to be a good match. Now, while I'm trying a 5-foot tiller today on this 1025R, I highly recommend a 4-foot tiller for a subcompact tractor. There are a few folks that use a 5-footer, that's why I'm going to try it today, but I have found 4-foot to be a perfect match. So don't do what I do today. Do what I usually do and use a 4-foot. I'm just trying something different. We should be allowed to try something different once in a while, right? We'll put this tiller to a pretty stressful test in our next episode. Come back and see it. Meanwhile, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. The fear of the Lord is the instruction for wisdom, and before honor comes humility.